Welcome to our Thanksgiving edition of Discussions on Meade County Catholic Radio 95.3, broadcasting from Brandenburg, Kentucky. We live in a world that many times thinks it knows best how to direct us in love, in life, and in peace. But you know, in fact, the world is no competition with a loving God who gives us what we need, when we need it, and a joy that can only come from above. And many times, that can come as an unexpected blessing. Hello, everyone. I'm Deacon Greg Bevan, and joining me today is T. and Julie Parker, the parents of daughters Taylor and Tatum Parker. Tatum, the youngest daughter, was born with Down syndrome, and for the past 20 years has not only captured the hearts of her family and friends, but the hearts of our community in Meade County and beyond. Down syndrome is a unique chromosome characteristic that occurs in about 1 in every 1,000 babies born each year. Sadly, when diagnosed during pregnancy, many recommend the termination of that pregnancy, thereby eliminating the life, the love, and the peace that these special children can bring to all of us. When we return, we too will be blessed with Tatum's story and how she has and continues to brighten the lives of so many. We'll be right back.
Thank you for listening to Meade County Catholic Radio. And in case you haven't heard, we now have our very own free Meade County Catholic Radio app. Just go to the App Store on your smartphone, type in Meade County Catholic Radio, sign up, and you will be able to listen to our station anywhere you go. You can play it on your Bluetooth in your car radio and, of course, on your own home computer too. Now you can take Catholic radio wherever you go. Meade County Catholic Radio, 95.3 WLHN, where we love His name.
T. and Julie, want to thank you so much for being our guests today, especially for our Thanksgiving edition of Discussions and sharing one of your greatest gifts in life.
Thank you, Greg. We appreciate being here this morning.
You know, before we begin Tatum's story, along with yours and certainly her sister Taylor, tell us a little bit about Tatum now as a 20-year-old, and then we'll go back from when her life began.
Tatum is in her last year of high school. She is active with Special Olympics, bowling, cheerleading, and track. Through the high school, she does a program where she goes out into the community and has a job every day, and very much looks forward to that. For the most part, she's healthy, happy, and always looking for an adventure.
I think beyond that, at home, she's active. She keeps us on her toes. She's very independent. She loves her music. The neighbors probably hear her and see her out the driveway giving concerts and see her riding her four-wheeler. She's got a morning routine where she probably texts 30, 40 people, and that's very important to her. She loves her church. Being an usher, being a greeter. So, like Julie said, it's always an adventure with her, but in a lot of ways, she's just a normal 20-year-old as well.
I think it's interesting. You say she's a very independent person. Is that independent from her mom's side or her dad's side?
I don't know.
No one wants to fess up to that.
We won't confess to that.
Well, let's go back to 1998. Taylor, your oldest daughter, was about to begin school. And T, you were in your 5th year as a teacher and a coach. And Julie, you were just finishing up your degree to become a teacher yourself. Then there was some good news in the Parker family. Talk a little about your family and life at that time and that good news.
Well, I think we just felt like, things were going great. We were just getting started and had bought our first home and Probably didn't have a lot of money and weren't able to do a lot of things, but we had a great family network. We had great social friend network, and just carving out our slice of the American pie. And Julie brought me I think it was a box wrapped, and I didn't know what it was for, and opened it, and it was I guess a little test kit that had a plus on it, and shocked me to here comes child number 2.
Yeah, yeah. Julie, that had to be exciting for you too.
We had decided a couple years back, once I got closer to finishing my degree, we were going to start trying. So, like we said, Taylor was going into kindergarten the next year, and we just kind of felt like it was a good time for us. So it was a pleasant surprise.
Well, I know it was an exciting time, and you had a new life coming into your life. Julie, at this point in time, now you're into your first trimester. You're beginning those regular trips to the doctor, which all of us do, certainly when we're pregnant. But following one of those trips, you later noticed the light that was blinking on your answering machine at home, and you returned the call. Tell us a little bit about that call.
I had a test done and came back that there was a high possibility that our child was going to have Down syndrome. There was a little concern with the doctor, really wanted us to come back into the doctor for kind of a follow-up, because they did want a diagnosis 100% whether or not our baby was going to have Downs. So not the news that I was expecting. Little shocking. Hadn't really thought that far into the pregnancy that something could be different than the first. But at the same time, that was still our baby.
Well, not knowing for sure that the preliminary prognosis was accurate, you certainly proceeded on to the next series of tests in prayer that the report would be favorable, but it was not completely definitive, and to your dismay, both of you were shocked at what the doctor recommended next, which is all too common in the world today.
Well, I think after the first indication from this blood test that there was a likelihood or probability, higher probability of Tatum having Downs, you start to pray that this test is wrong or results are mixed up with someone else's. But go to the next test, which was just a high-level ultrasound, I think they called it, and it was not 100% definitive, but that ultrasound indicated strongly to the technicians and the doctor that she probably was even more likely, to have Downs. They were pretty convinced that that's what the diagnosis, or that's what she would have. And then they indicated that they could hook us up with a counselor to
help give us some choices. So we had 3 choices to make. And the first choice was abortion. The second choice was to carry the baby and to give up for adoption. And the last choice, we could keep it if we wanted. I think at that point, everything kind of became very clear to us that didn't matter if our child had Down syndrome, it was still our child. So even though we walked away from that appointment mad because our first choice was abortion, I think at the same time it helped us to maybe come to terms with we were going to have a child with Down syndrome, but it was our child. So we did not return to that doctor, and we just kind of I had a peace with me that it was going to be okay.
Yeah, and it is hard to talk about because I think we were both very angry and upset that we were almost being asked or recommended or pushed to strongly consider terminating the pregnancy, and I think we knew we were going to love this child regardless, and we left that doctor's office, I think, determined that we would go through with this pregnancy, and we would raise this child under whatever circumstance it was.
I know that's not a real comfortable situation to talk about even now, even though it's been many, many years ago, but certainly the beauty that's resulted from it, I know that brings joy to you. And as you indicated, certainly the prognosis did point to Down syndrome. But then, you'd prayed about your pregnancy, but something down deep inside, both of you actually, kind of changed your prayers. And your prayers actually did begin to change at that point. And when we come back, we'll talk about how those prayers changed.
We hope you are enjoying our show featuring Tatum Parker and how she has and continues to touch the lives of so many, simply by spreading her special gifts and love to those around her, made possible only by our loving God. We want to thank Karen and Doug Stiff, Nancy and Ned Tatum family, Kim and John DeVries, Scott Parker, Sherry and Gabe Powers, Kelly Popham Sr., Stephanie Parker, Robin and John Sprocker, Allison and John Biffen, and our friends at WMMG for making this show possible. We now return to our show.
Welcome back to Discussions. Julie and T, it has been determined that your child will in all likelihood be subjected to the Down syndrome, and you'll be parents of a very special child. Suddenly, something changed. You felt a peace inside for the first time, and your prayers actually began to change too. Walk us through that change.
Well, I don't know. Going through it, you're just going through it. I don't think, know what's happening. You don't know what God has put in place to pave the way. But Taylor had gone to a local daycare, and we'd been introduced to a couple children there who have Down syndrome, and we're still, close with these people today. But I just think, looking back, God had put some things in front of us to help make the path more straight. And I think we just, I don't know, just started praying for a blessing.
Mm-hmm. I think before, when we initially heard the word Down syndrome, we did pray that the test was wrong. But after the appointment and the confirmation, pretty much, I think we began to think a healthy baby, a blessing, doesn't matter if Down syndrome was a part of that. It was our baby.
And it's just amazing at that point, you have faith, and God can take away all things. God can grant all things, and you just hope that He follows our will and does what we want Him to do, because we probably could have laid out a great option for Him. And I think that was our first attempt to say, hey, we got this figured out, and we'll make your job a little easier. Just take this potential away and give us the normal, healthy, intelligent baby. Will go on and conquer the world. But then, just like I said, through His unique ways preparing us, I think we just started praying for that blessing. And there was such a peace and comfort, that we experienced from that point forward. And it doesn't mean it was easy. And Julie's pregnancy, I don't know, I think it's okay to share, but her pregnancy for her personally was not the easiest. I think she had probably the worst case of flu she's ever had. And then probably, I can't remember, 7 or 8 months in, she wakes me up and says she has this terrible pain in her side. And we haven't shared this with you, Greg, but she had an emergency appendectomy probably 7 or 8 months into her pregnancy. But through all of that, I think we just had this peace over us that it was going to be okay.
Someone was there walking with you through this journey.
We weren't alone.
Well, and that journey began on August the 2nd, 1999. You gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. One final blood test was needed to validate what you really already knew.
She came a day early. I was scheduled for a C-section on a Monday. She came on a Sunday night. Healthy, beautiful, and we were ecstatic. It didn't matter to us if she had Down syndrome or not. We had a second child. Taylor was so excited, and to this day, it was a great day.
And it really was. I guess since we did not know 100% as far as tests and diagnosis, I think we knew in our hearts that this was probably going to happen, and we had, like I said, felt a peace about it. And then by that time, I think we knew that with with children with Down syndrome, that there was some risk with their hearts and the development of the heart, and could be some things that we would need to attend to. So as soon as she came, we were thrilled, but I think we knew enough at that point to ask, make sure her heart's okay, make sure she's got all 10 toes and 10 fingers, and we were just so ecstatic that she was here, she was with us, and the initial test that they ran showed that she was healthy, and that there were no heart concerns at that point. But the story did take a little turn, which I'm sure we're heading in that direction. But at that point, we were just tremendously blessed and thrilled that she was here, and we were taking her home.
I didn't realize that till now. I know in our previous discussions, but she was born on Sunday. Pretty significant, isn't it? Life, death, and new life. So,
Hadn't thought about that. But
yeah.
Might be another sign.
So, Jesus certainly was there all through that process. Well, that first year began as normal as it could be with the newborn, but later in the years, some health issues did surface. But through your faith and patience, Tatum rebounded as you had prayed for, and she even made it on her first vacation. Oh, that was special for you.
She had RSV at 4 months, so we spent 3 weeks in the hospital with that. Still, her heart looked healthy. We ended up back in the hospital around February with heart failure. And at that point, that's when they diagnosed that she had a hole in her heart and would need surgery. We got through the rest of RSV season and had heart surgery in March. And they fixed the hole. We came home, and 8 weeks later, on our way to the beach.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad now. When they told us she was going to have heart surgery, probably in March, we said, well, we usually go to Hilton Head in June or early July. You think we'll be able to go? And the doctors laughed at us and said, we think she will be ready to go. If everything goes like as planned, she'll be ready for the beach. And I don't know, I feel selfish now, maybe thinking, we didn't want to miss our beach vacation. But I think that's just another, looking back on it, another example of how there was this was a serious medical situation, but there was just a peace and trust and faith that things were going to be okay. And here she was, probably 8 months old, probably weighed 16 pounds, and had open heart surgery, and 8 weeks later we're on the road to Hilton Head. So,
well, and I think that just speaks to the glory of God, really, because I know from talking to different friends that one of Tatum's favorite things in life is to go to the beach, to go to Hilton Head. So I know that's something very special there. So I think that was in the plan all along. Well, Tatum and you and the family finally settled into a family normal lifestyle as she grew, but she grew slowly. It was be understandable, of course. The next few years went by, but it made you realize just how Tatum would begin to steal the hearts of many. Not only hearts in your family, but it was starting to reach beyond that. And I thought it was so interesting that included a special friend that we all know, and many of our listeners would be very familiar with, and that was Mr. Barry Hahn, who's no longer with us. But he loved spending special time with her, didn't he?
He did. At that time, the preschool was at the James R. Allen building, and Barry was still working. And like I said, Tatum, when she had her surgery, she was 16 pounds, and I think we wondered if she would ever reach 20 pounds. We might even prayed, Lord, just let her be 20 pounds one day. And so she was tiny, but she just, carried her weight around, and just, I think, pretty cute, and people, seemed to gravitate towards her. And I don't know if we'd been at a meeting or something, but we saw Mr. Hahn carrying Tatum to her class, and thought that was sweet and special. And I think that may have gone on quite frequently and daily. And finally, the preschool staff let us know that they garnered the courage to approach Mr. Hahn and scolded. He's assistant superintendent of schools, and the preschool staff is scolding him, saying, "You're going to have to let Tatum learn to walk on her own." So I think he maybe continued to make some visits, but held her hand as she walked down the hall, and he no longer was able to carry her.
What a beautiful story. But Tatum's charm didn't stop there, did it? As time went on, as she stole the hearts of many others, and actually she received many recognitions that I know you would not have anticipated, nor would I probably have anticipated, that went far beyond your wildest dreams. Share some of those special moments.
Well, I think Miss Mickey, who maybe a lot of people know, she was very active in Special Olympics, and she had gotten Tatum and some other kids involved in bowling, Special Olympics bowling, and Tatum, through Special Olympics would be very thrilled and excited to get ribbons and medals, and she's done that with bowling and cheer and track. But then as she's gotten older and into high school, she was recognized for some other things as well.
She was football homecoming queen, which we were thrilled. And then she was voted homecoming or prom queen. So Tatum is definitely somebody that just draws people to her. She's very social, but I think we have such a great community in Meade County that includes the population of people like Tatum, that they don't just see the disability. And to me, as a parent, it just warms my heart. And it's not just Tatum. We have several students like that in our community, and they just embrace them. And we're so thrilled that they've given Tatum those opportunities. Never did I think she'd go to the prom. Never did I think she'd be in the homecoming. So, pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think that's a testament to our community and our schools, our people in Meade County who, don't just respect children with disabilities, but they make special efforts to have outreach programs. Tatum participated in an outreach program last night, and just always something in the community. The schools have always been very supportive of children with disabilities and Special Olympics, and then just being able to see our child be recognized by her peers as the homecoming queen and prom queen. I think it speaks as much for our community and our kids as it does Tatum.
We mentioned Taylor, your oldest daughter, which I understand is getting married soon.
Yes, she is.
I'm sure that Taylor was a special part of Tatum's life in the early years and even now as a young adult. How have they introduced her are interacted with each other as young children, and even now in that adult age, so to speak?
I don't think Taylor ever saw Tatum as being different. So they were typical, normal sisters. Played well together sometimes, not all the times. But I think
They were normal then, right?
Yes, very normal. For Tatum, she had a good role model. She wanted to be with her sister. She wanted to play with her sister. But I think it was years later when Taylor realized Tatum wasn't like all the other little sisters, but didn't treat her any differently. She treated her just like a typical sister would treat a younger sister. But they've always had a relationship where they just get each other. I don't know how better to explain that.
Yeah, I think they've interacted like you would expect normal siblings to, but it's not an extreme, conflicts or problems, but they've always just connected. I think they've always shared a love for each other. I think Tatum has probably influenced Taylor when Taylor was in college. Even going back to Taylor's being in high school, Taylor was active in Special Olympics. I think she was a peer tutor. She went on to college at UK. She was active in some philanthropies and special needs programs. She would drag us to Lexington each year to participate in the Down Syndrome Buddy Walk in Lexington. So I think Tatum has influenced Taylor and some of the choices she's made, especially with her career. She's a speech therapist now, and I think that she probably chose that in part because of maybe Tatum and the children that she's been exposed to over the years.
Goes back to the unexpected blessing, isn't it? Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, let's visit with you a little bit. In 2018, certainly just recently, Tatum experienced another health scare, which was finally diagnosed as a severe stroke. And to the surprise of her doctors, has recovered nearly back to normal. I thought it was interesting that one of the doctors, in his amazement, simply said it was Jesus. It was Jesus. Now, I know that both of you have a strong faith life and you trust in God. How has that been your saving grace, so to speak, in your special family?
Well, it was kind of surprising. Tatum did have the stroke, and her symptoms through it were obvious stroke symptoms, but it wasn't debilitating. But then when they showed us the MRI scan and the size of the stroke, we, communicated that we weren't doctors, but just looking at the picture on the scan and how it affected her, we thought that's kind of unusual. It doesn't make sense that it appears to be really big. And they said that's a significant stroke. And initially they're like, she's handled that amazingly well and her recovery. And then upon that follow-up, one of the doctors who we've grown to know a little bit and to really like indicated to her, like, we've been out of 3-4 months, 6-month checkup, and we said it's amazing her recovery, and she just turned to us and said it was Jesus. And you don't always expect that from your doctors, but we have learned that this doctor, she has a strong faith and I guess a strong walk with the Lord, and it's just comforting again to know that God was with us through that experience. And had we not had the Lord in our lives, I don't know how we could have handled it. And I think He has just given us a comfort and peace and just a blessing, not just with Tatum, but just our whole family. We're just lucky and blessed to have the Lord looking after us and watching over us and guiding us. Whatever is presented, I just think we just trust and have faith that He's going to help get us through whatever it is.
I think it would have been easy for us to be angry and to be mad and to blame God. but I think it's made us stronger as parents, stronger as a couple. But I think our faith has led us this far. We don't know what the future holds for Tatum, but I know that we will get through it. I know that it'll make us stronger because of it, but I feel like from the very beginning, we had a decision to make. We could be mad at God, or we could be grateful to Him, and I think we chose wisely to be grateful.
Absolutely, and not just our faith, but our faith community here in Meade County is unbelievable. The outpouring of love and support from our church families, from our families, our friends, the visits to the hospital when you're in a hospital. And I know we're not alone in that our community rallies around those in need. And we're just fortunate to have such a strong support, from, I think, like-minded Christians. And it's just a great, great thing.
There's a song called "They'll Know We Are Christians by Our Love." I think that's significant of that. Julie, you mentioned you don't know what the future holds. There's a beautiful scripture reading in Jeremiah. It's one of my favorite segments of the Bible. It starts in verse 11, chapter 29 of Jeremiah. It says, "For I know well the plans I have in mind for you, says the Lord, plans for your welfare, not for woe." Can you imagine how your life would have been for the past 20 years without God's presence, and how amazed are you with His plans?
I don't know that I can imagine that. I think everything happens for a reason. Tatum's giving to us, and we hear this all the time, God would not have given her to you if you all weren't strong enough. And I do believe that, but nonetheless, she's our daughter. She's been a blessing, Down syndrome or not. So I felt like early on, Tatum was just daughter number 2. She wasn't the daughter with Down syndrome.
I agree, and we have a family, and we've been blessed. And as Julie said earlier, I think our blessing has come through a strong marriage, a strong, loving family who we do many things with and enjoy. And I cannot imagine a life any better than what we've had for 20 years. And that definitely doesn't mean it's been perfect. It doesn't mean there haven't been issues or concerns or worries. But in the big picture, and looking back on it now, going through it, you don't realize it. But looking back, I think I don't even want to think where we would be without what God has given us.
Mm-hmm. One final question. The beauty and the blessings of a special needs child is many times discounted in many parts of the world, and sorry to say also in our country as well. How is the world wrong? And during this month of Thanksgiving, how often do you give thanks for this special person that God has blessed your family, and not only your family, but our community with?
Well, I think first, Greg, I think every individual, every person is special in God's eyes. And we don't always see that in our world today, but I think Jesus would want us to love everybody, regardless of gender, race, condition, situation. And for us, we've received many blessings, and Tatum being a big part of that. And our jobs allow us to see special needs kids, interact with special needs children, and I know my work life is enriched interacting with all of my kids at school and the special needs children as well. And it's just such a heartfelt and comforting, peaceful blessing to experience people who love you unconditionally and want to make you happy, can sense when you're sad or upset, and want to help you not be that way. And that's one special thing about Tatum is she's silly, she's playful, she's fun-loving, but she is very tuned in to emotions. And if she thinks you are upset at her or she thinks you're upset at something, she will want to know what's going on. She wants you to be happy, and she wants to see you peaceful and content. And she'll say, "What's wrong? Are you mad? Are you angry? Are you upset?" And no, we're not. Are you mad at Mom? No, I'm not mad at Mom. But she just is full of compassion and love, and I think that's what we need in this world.
Yeah, yeah. Well, T and Julie, on behalf of our listeners, we thank you for sharing this beautiful love story, really, within your family, obviously, Tatum, that we're focusing on today. And we wish God's blessings to continue to overshadow you and your family. But before we go, we're going to hear from Tatum herself. So to our listeners, please don't go away. We will be right back.
In Genesis chapter 12, verse 2, God tells Abraham, "I will make your name great, so that you will be a blessing." God goes on to say he will bless others who follow him in faith. The story of Tatum Parker is a testament to the faith of her parents who placed their trust in a loving God who has brought so much love, joy, and peace to so many through the life of their loving daughter. As we return to her story, we'll hear from Tatum herself.
Welcome back to Discussions, and with us we have Tatum Parker. She's the star of our show today, actually. Hello, Tatum. I guess you know, Tatum, that you are a very special person, don't you? Right? Right? You like to do a lot of different things. You love music. I understand you have a four-wheeler. You've done cheerleading. Tell us a little bit about some of those things you like to do and why you like to do them.
Well, I like to cheering and bowling and track, music.
Do you listen to music a lot?
Yes.
Yeah. Music kind of calms you down, doesn't it?
Yes.
If Daddy ever gets mad at you, did you get your music out and listen to it?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Okay.
He's sneaky.
Yeah.
What do you like to do with your music?
I like to dance and dance move.
Mm-hmm.
I like that chicken dance.
Chicken dance.
Chicken dance. Yeah, well, I'm glad I'm not a good dancer, okay, but so you may have to give me some lessons sometime. Could you do that?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, somebody told me the other day that you have a four-wheeler,
Right.
and you like to ride a four-wheeler.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you ride it? How do you like to ride it?
I like to ride my father very much.
Mm-hmm.
I like to ride everywhere, like Steve Yard.
You have a special vacation place too, don't you?
Yes.
That you like to go. Where's your special vacation place?
Go to Hill. I like to play Mom and Dad sometimes.
Where do you like to go at Hilton Head?
Down on the beach in the pool.
Beach in the pool.
What do you like to do on the beach with Daddy?
Very sand castle.
Bury me in the sand.
You know, someone told me the other day that you went to McDonald's, okay, and you drove up and someone in the family asked you what you wanted for dinner, and you said, well, what do you like at McDonald's?
I like the cheeseburger
Cheeseburger? Okay.
and like fries and Coke.
Oh, great. Yeah, that's pretty special there. I understand you have a sister that's getting ready to get married. What do you think about that?
I'm happy for her to get married.
Good. Good.
I don't like to be quiet or spend a lot of time with her. So much. She is 35. I love my sister so much.
Yeah. Yeah, you've had a special relationship with her over the years, haven't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you ever get mad at your sister?
No.
Never get mad at her? Okay.
No.
Maybe a little bit.
I'm talking.
That's right. Don't interrupt her, right?
I'm sorry.
I'm trying.
I know you're 20.
Yeah, yeah. You say you like music. Do you have a favorite person you like to listen to?
Yes.
Who is that?
I've seen it too. I seen it at YouTube. I seen like Christmas songs.
You know, Greg, that's, and I hate to interject in Tatum's portion,
Yeah.
but looking at connections and kind of we talked about earlier,
Right.
she sings a lot of Christmas songs, a lot of Christmas carols.
Oh, yeah.
And that had no influence from us at all.
Yeah.
And didn't think about this. Amazing Grace is a
Yeah.
song she will sing a lot.
Really? Yeah.
We did not push that on her.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing Grace. So, we were talking about you earlier, Tatum, and they said you're really a special person, a special blessing. So you are an amazing grace, aren't you?
Yes.
Maybe that's why you like that song, huh?
I like it.
What have you liked about school? You've been to school, to high school.
I like school. I like to like school. Like to do my job.
Yeah.
Where you work?
I work at Burger King. And Snap. I think I work at Caminos,
El Caminos.
and I work at Snap.
Where you work on Thursdays?
Crocker in the church.
Man, you're a busy lady, aren't you?
Yes.
What would the world do without you around doing all those jobs?
Every day.
That's right. Well, that's great.
Morning.
Yeah. You talk about every morning. There's something that my grandson, Jake, told me 2 or 3 years ago, I think. He says, I get a text every morning from Tatum. Tell me about that. You text to several people, don't you?
Well, I texted everybody in the morning, say good morning everybody this morning, but I text mom and dad this morning. Sometimes I say good morning, sunshine, baby, or good on.
Yeah.
Who do you text first?
Fagler.
Tell him who Fagler is.
I'm talking, Mom. Her name is Miss Andrea Fagler.
Yeah. Yeah.
You text her?
Every morning.
That's a special way to tell people how much you love them, isn't it?
Yes.
Do they ever text you back?
Yes.
They do?
Yeah.
What are some of the nice things they say about you?
They like to text somebody this morning about, I text mom and dad, say good morning. I say good morning. I say good morning, Daddy. He say, I love you, Daddy. I love you, Butchers. I say, Mama. I say good morning, Mommy. I love you. Have a good day.
Well, that's great. Well, Tatum, we want you to know that we know how much your mom and dad love you. We know how much Taylor loves you. And the community loves you, being a homecoming queen. And so your love has reached out to so many people. We want you to know that we love you too. And we thank you for being our guest today. Actually, you're the star of this show, and you're going to be on radio. So you make sure you have to turn the music off every once in a while and listen to your show, okay?
I will.
Okay? All right. So that's going to do it for discussions this month. And we want to thank Julie and T, and especially you, Tatum, for being here with us.
Okay.
And we wish you the best. And I know this Thanksgiving, there's a lot of things we all have to be thankful for. Okay. Well, one of the things we are thankful for is for you and for your love and what a special person you are.
Thank you.
Okay. You've been listening to Meade County Catholic Radio Discussions, our special Thanksgiving show. Thank you for listening. We now return to our regularly scheduled programming, Now in Progress.
not to mix but straight. Stay you mix, stay you, not to mix but straight.